Welcome back. In today's video, we are going to dive into essential JavaScript concepts that you need to master before diving into React. So if you're just going to get into React, there are some of the concepts you need to at least be knowing before getting into React. So in this video, I'm just going to break down some of these concepts. And I also put together a blog explaining actually these concepts that we are going to share in this video. Okay, so all these concepts I'm going to talk about in this video, I explain them in this blog. Okay, I'll just leave the link to this blog in the description. So let's just dive into this concept. And if I'm to show you my VS Code, I already have index.html having the list of all these concepts. I also have app.js, which has nothing, mass.js, which has nothing, and all these style.css. So let's start with ternary operators, and I will be just reading some of these things right from here in this blog. So ternary operators, they provide a concise way to write conditional statements. They consist of three parts: the condition, the value if the condition is true. Let me try to zoom in. They consist of three parts: the condition, the value if the condition is true, and the value if the condition is false. So let's just say we take an example. By the way, in index, I linked my CSS and I also linked down my app.js. So back into app.js, let's say we say have const age, okay, is equal to 25. And then we want to use this age to tell if someone is eligible for voting or not, or to say this person is eligible or not eligible. So we could just say here const, we just say const is eligible to vote, and now we could, now the first thing is the condition. So we just say if age, so I could just say if age is greater or equal to 18. Okay, so I first write the condition. So this, the first part here is the condition. If this condition is true, I will just say eligible, and if it is false, we put here, and I will just say not eligible, just like that. Okay, so if I see console.log, I'm just going to see console.log is eligible to vote. Just go back here, and if you go to our application, and you see here on line 4 is saying is eligible, and it just because age is 25. So you can see these three parts you are seeing here in this here, that you need the three parts: a condition, a value if the condition is true, and a value if the condition is false. You can see here I gave an example of this one. Okay, and here we're using a different example, still having age here 25, and we are saying if we want to decide if this person is eligible to vote, we have to have a condition. Okay, if age is greater than 18, then we put a question mark, and this question mark marks that if this condition is true, and then we say is eligible, and then we put this colons, which represents if the condition is not what is not true. Okay, so this is what we call ternary operator. So I'm just going to write here the first concept is ternary operator. Okay, ternary operator. Okay, and that is this concept is more used in React and you'll find it used in most of the times. Okay, so the second concept here is this template retros here, template retros or use of backticks. So template retros denoted by backticks, okay, allow for easier string interpolation, okay, and multi-line strings. They support embedding expressions using this dollar curly brackets. So here is an example. Okay, so let's say you have let's just say here template litros, and these ones are the same as backticks. So these ones you will find that you have, let's say here I'm just going to say const. Okay, let me just say const first name. I'm just going to say const first name. First name, let me just say okay here, and then const last name, and let me just say JB here. And if I want to see const full name, const full name would be equal to. So if I want to use template retros, I can just simply use this backticks, and these backticks are found on this button with a squiggly or a button below the escape. So here we can now put this dollar, and then we put these brackets, and then we can put here first name, and then we can put space, and then we put last name. Okay, if I come and I say console.log full name, and we go to the here, you can see I have the full name, and that is the backticks, and they help to do string interpolation. And here I gave a simple example where you have the John and you can insert this name. Okay, and here I've give you another example where you have like this first name and last name, and then you can concatenate them using these backticks. So the backticks are so much used in React, and you need to know how to use this concept. So our third concept is going to be destructuring. Okay, so destructuring most especially for objects and arrays. And if I'm to give you some explanation, so destructuring simplifies the process of extracting values from arrays or objects. It enables you to unpack values into distinct variables, and we can look at examples. Okay, so let's just write here another. This one is destructuring. Okay, so for objects, I just say const. So let me just say I have props, and these so this one can be properties. Let me just say properties, and let me say I have color. And this say green. I have age, let's say 30. I have size, maybe 32. Okay, so I can have all these properties here in this object, and now I can extract these values from this object. Instead, I could just say const, and I can extract them by saying, for instance, color, comma, age, comma, and size is equal to properties. Just as simple as this. Okay, So we could destruct something like this, or we already have age. Let me just say this one, let me just say price, and let me just make this one 300, and I'm just going to come here and make this price. Okay, so const, I have here, I have this object which has my properties, and the properties have color, price, and size. So if I want to use these color, price, and size, instead of extracting one by one using the dot notation, we would use maybe color is equal properties dot color, price is equal properties dot price, size is equal properties dot size. Instead of extracting them using the dot notation, we can actually also extract them using this, and this concept is what we call destructuring. So if you came here and you say console.log, and we could just console price, price, size, and color. If we do that and we go back here, you see we have all our colors. We have green 332. Okay, and for arrays, the same thing. If you just say const, okay, fruits is equal to, so we could just have a list of fruits, and just say mangoes, okay, and we can have oranges, we can have grapes. Okay, now we have all these fruits. Now we can extract these fruits, of course, using the, we could just say, for instance, fruits, we could sometimes say fruits at 0. This would extract mangoes, oranges at 1, grapes at 2. Now instead of extracting them using indices, you can actually use fruits. You can say const fruits. So you can just say const and const, put the bracket, and we can just say mangoes. Okay, I can just say mangoes, comma, I see oranges, and I see here grapes, and I can just say is equal to fruits. Okay, just like that. And I also can console.log mangoes, oranges, and grapes. If we do that, you see you have them here. Okay, so you can also extract items from an array using this method. Okay, and since speaking of which, we are speaking of destructuring, it goes with some other new concept which we call spread. Okay, so the spread operator, so the spread operator is not there in this blog. I think at the end of the video I will add I will add this concept here under the destructuring. I will add this spread operator. Let me just add it in my index. So after here, this where we have this destructuring, we can have spread operator. Okay, I've just remembered that concept. So spread operator, let's say we have const. So spread operator is, for instance, we can have, maybe we can have domestic animals, and we can just come here and we have, for instance, domestic animals, we have cows, we can have goats, and we can also have dogs. Okay, and now we can also just go ahead and also have const wild animals. Okay, and wild animals, we can have lion, we have lion or lions. We can have cobs, like that. We can have let's say gorillas and many others. Okay, we can have as many as possible, and then I can now join say const animals. Okay, now instead of saying if I want to concatenate or to join these items in the domestic, to join them with the ones in wild animals, I just simply create this one and I use these three dots. So these three dots is what you call a spread operator. So the spread operator, I can just come in and say domestic animals. Okay, so doing this, what it does, let me first remove these things, domestic animals. Okay, so just doing this, what it does, it gets all the items that are inside the domestic animals, it spreads them into this array. So if I want, I can just put comma and then I also put dot 3 times. It must be 3 times, and then I put wild animals. So if I say console.log animals, okay, and you check here, you see that we have all our animals, they're both wild animals and domestic, in one array. So this 3 dots is what you call spread, and you can spread items in an array. You can just extract items in this, and you can use this dot stuff, 3 dots. And this concept is also mostly used in React. Okay, so moving on to the next is functions. So functions are very much fundamental. You should know how to create functions, more especially function expressions and arrow functions. So you can have a function expression which is written in very different ways, and you can see here in this case you can have const, okay, and you can say const, for instance, square, okay, and you can just say this is equal to a function, okay, and you can just say this is equal to a function, and you go ahead and say here it takes in maybe a number, and then you can just say return num, and of course you can say *2, just like that, okay. And this you have written here is what you call function expression. So let me just first put here functions. So this is a function expression, and another way you could create it, you could just say function, and you could just say square. Maybe let me just say square num, and it takes in a number, and you would still do it in this format. So this and this one, they're exactly the same, and these two are called function expressions. This why you have this and why you have also this. So you should be able to create a function like this, okay, just defining it, and then you can just come and maybe you just say let me just say here console.log also this, okay, let me just do this, and I can just come here and I say console.log, and I can call square num, this function here, and then I can pass 3, okay, I can pass 3, and when you go back here you see you have 9, okay, you have 9, and this is this stuff here, okay. So that is great. That is about the function expression, and the second one is arrow function, okay. So let's just say you want to create an arrow function. You could just say const, for instance, maybe you want to do multiply, okay, multiply, and you could just say is equal to a function, and maybe it takes in a number, and then you do something like this. And here you can just say console.log, so just say put num1 and num2. Okay, we could just say num1 times num2. So this is what we call an arrow function. Okay, this one, this where you have these brackets and then you have this arrow meaning return. Okay, so this is an arrow function, and I can just say console.log. Actually, just simply run the function. Even here there was no need of console.log, just simply run the function. Even here you could just say multiply, and let's pass in two numbers 2 and 3. When you go back here you have 6. Okay, and this is what we call an arrow function, and these ones here, they are arguments or they are parameters that we are passing in. Okay, and this is going to be used most of the time in React, so you need to know how to create these two kind of functions. So next is modules. Okay, you have these modules, export and import, and to demonstrate that more export, and it has two parts, as you can hear. It helps us if we just go here. JavaScript modules allow for code organization and reusability. you can split your code into separate files, and you enable exporting and importing of functionality. So for instance, let's see we have these two functions. Okay, I'm just going to go and put them inside. I have here the math.js. I'm just going to come and I put these two functions, and you can see they are arrow functions. Okay, now you have to split if you want to use this function in any other file, you have to add this export keyword. Okay, so this export allows us to use it in some other file. Okay, I can use this from any other file. So let me just go to app, and I want to use them, and that's why you see in here we now do importing. So the first where you define them, you export, and that is called exporting, and then where you want to use them, you import them. Okay, so we can just go and import. So in app, I can just go and I say I want to use, let me first see them here. We have add and subtract. So I'm just going to see here add, and you can see here it gives me a suggestion to import it from there. If I go on top here, you can see it has import add from math, and you have to explicitly put JS here. Okay, and I can also put subtract. Now if I want to put another one, put here subtract, like so. So I have two of them, and I can just come and use them here. For instance, add, and let's say add 20 to 30, which is 40, and let's subtract. And for subtract, let me say 50 minus 10. Okay, so let's just go to the console here. Now the first thing you see, an quote syntax error, cannot use import statement outside a module. So I did this intentionally so that you can see this error. Okay, normally they always just tell you that it is cannot use import statement outside a module. So the first thing, you have to come back to index and just make, first of all, just also put math on top here. So I'm just going to script, and I'm just going to say math.js. Okay, and then the second thing I'm just going to say, I'm just say type module. Okay, even down here, just come and say type module. Okay, you have to make sure that these scripts that you are exporting, they are of type module if you want to use export and import. Of course, you will not have to do this in React. It is automatically done for you. You just simply export and import. But here, if you want to use it in our project here in index using HTML CSS, you have to define here these two and put module and type of module. And now when you go back, it should work now, and you can see let's first look at these functions. Actually here they are not consoling, they're just returning. So what we can just do is to console. So I'm just going to say console.log, see console.log that, and you can also see console.log that. And by the way, if you're wondering why I'm just doing CLG to do console.log, you can just go ahead and also install the ES7. There is this you can just install this extension, ES7 React snippets, this one, okay, and it will give you some of the snippets, and one of the snippets is this one. You always see me writing CLG. Okay, so if we do this now, let me go back to, you can see here 40 and 40, and this 50 minus 10 is 40, 10 plus 30 is 40. Okay, so that is the modules export and import. You can define in one file, you can define your functions. Okay, you can define your function. One more thing I want to show you, these modules, they are divided into two. So you can see there is this normal exports. You simply define a function and then you export it. So there is another one where we can just say export default. Okay, you can also export a function as a default, and let me say export function, and I want to show you that you can also create it as a function expression, and let me just say function, and maybe this one, let me say greet. Okay, and let's say it takes a message. Okay, and let's just say console.log simply message. Okay, simply like this. So you can also first of all, you can have another export which is called default. Now export default, when you export a function as a default, when you are importing it in the app, this side, let's just say greet. If you're exporting it here, if I check it on top here, for it, you don't put it inside these curly brackets. You simply import it with its name. That's the difference between with default function and the normal export function. Okay, so you can just say greet, and this greet takes in a message. I'm just going to come here and I say good morning, just like that, and it should just simply console.log good morning. Okay, so that is export default. You can also export a function as a default. Okay, so moving on to the next, array methods. Okay, and when you go to array methods here, they provide numerous, JavaScript provides us with a number of array methods to perform common operations. Okay, so for instance, let's say we have an array, so const numbers. I don't know if we already have numbers defined. Okay, let's just say nums, okay, is equal to, we just say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, and now we can do a number of operations, and one of them is the map. Okay, so for instance, I could just say const double and I could just say is equal to nums, okay, nums dot map. And when you do a map, okay, when you do a map, you have access to a number, and then here we can just say, for instance, you can return a number multiplied by a number. Now this is very powerful because in React we are going to be using this map all the time, okay, map all the time. And you can go and practice a lot to do with the map. I have a video about it. If you go on my YouTube channel, you can find a full episode about array methods. I have all these array methods explained in details, okay. I'm just going to talk about them right now. So array methods, we have so many, but the most used one in React is the map, okay. So when you say num and you say map, you have access to this number, individual number inside, and you can do anything with that number. You can multiply it, you can console it, you can do anything, okay. And then another thing I wanted to show you is that you have also access to index, okay. When you have this, you have access also to index here, and you can also console.log num. So let me just say console.log num with index with even I. So if I just come here, there is this double, let's say double. Let me just console.log double, and you can wait a minute. We have access to this, a minute. For instance, actually it returns an array, okay. So we can just return num squared starter 2. So this since it is double numbers, is doubling these numbers, it has access to a number and it can multiply by this, okay. And now it is going to return an array doubling the original array. Now the good thing with this one, it does not affect the original array, okay. So this is the map, and you can just go ahead and do all these other ones. We have find, for instance, we can just say const found, and we could just say num, okay, nums dot find. And also the find also has access to a number, and it can find, for instance, it can find a number, okay. It can find a number, num is equal to maybe 3, okay. So here you find an item, and then you give a condition for finding that item, okay, and it is going to return that one item. So you can just say found here, okay. So it will go in numbers, and it will find a number whose is equal to 3, okay. And you can see it returns 3 here, and it has found that number inside this array. Another one that is very interesting is the filter. So const numbers greater than maybe 3. We could just say you say nums or numbers dot filter. Now also filter has access to a number, and you can return a number greater than 3, just like this. If you just came here and you pass in this here, it will give you an array of numbers that are greater than 3. So this filter method is really powerful, and these 3 methods I've used here, they are most used in React: the map, the find method, and even this the filter method, okay. So these methods, they all have access to a number, and then they will give this condition, okay, which is really great. So if you know how to use this one, you can just watch my video about, I will also link the link in the description, okay, so that you can just watch more about the array methods and even some more examples. And by the way, if this video is making sense to you, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and share this content so that other people can watch it, okay, and I really appreciate for that. So moving on to more concepts. Another one is promises and then async await. So let's first go to these promises here, okay. So you can have here promises simplify asynchronous operations such as fetching data from API. They represent the eventual completion or failure of a synchronous task, okay. So here is an example, okay. So you can see you can have here, let me just put here promises, okay. So maybe let's first go to get a simple API here. Let me just say fake, okay, there is this one. They just get any API here, okay, fake store, and the only thing we just need red docs, and let's say get all products, and they give you this one, and you can see they even have here this you can get all the products. So the first thing is you have fetch. This fetch is a inbuilt JavaScript function that fetches data from an API. Then on it you can just go and say then. So then we can have the response, okay. For instance, we can have here response or res, and here we can just say sorry for that. I'm just going to have here, and we can have response dot JSON. We can convert this response. The first thing is we have access to the response, and we can convert it into JSON. And then after, we can also say then, and then at this point we'll be actually having the products, or you can call them products or data, it doesn't matter, but at this point you have actually access to the data, and we can just say console.log, and we can console.log the data, okay. Yeah, so this is as simple as I can say. You have this then says if this operation is successful, then you can do the next one, and then we can also capture the error, and we can just say dot catch, okay. There is this function which says dot catch, and you can console.log, for instance, this error, okay. So the promises, they have these two functions in a built-in function, the then and the catch. So the then is for when the task is successful, and then the catch is if the task has failed, okay. I have a video explaining about promises and async await. You can also just go on this YouTube channel. I will also leave the link to this video, where you can actually have more explanation about promises, but they will be a lot used when you're just doing React, okay. So we can just go ahead and here, and we console.log data, and you can see we have our data here, okay. We have all the data here, and we have used, this is the promises, okay. I'm just going to you can just use this endpoint, and you can get all the data in this way, and here you'll be using promises. The first one is we convert the data into JSON, the response into JSON, and then it will be present as data in this next step. Okay. Okay, so we can just go ahead and now look at async await. Async await. So this async await, if you look at this concept of async await, async await is more modern and a readable approach for handling asynchronous tasks. It allows writing asynchronous code in asynchronous style. Okay, so what happens is you have the function, let's say fetch data. So you can just say const, or you could just even say function fetch data. Let's say fetch data, and then you have inside here a try catch block. So you say try this, and if it fails, catch the error here, and this one has also access to the error. Okay, and you can just go ahead and say, for instance, console.log error here, and then in this try, this is if the operation is successful. The first thing with async await is to make this function asynchronous by adding a keyword async, and then here instead you could just say const response. Okay, response is equal to await, and you can just simply await this here, this fetch. Let me copy this fetch here. You can just say await fetch, just like that, and then you can say const data. Data is equal to JSON, so you can just get this response dot, so you have the response dot JSON, and this is, you also await this. All these are asynchronous tasks. Await also the data to be present. So for instance, we know fetching of this data is a synchronous task, so we use the await. Okay, we await this. When it is back, we save it into a response. Then we also convert this response to JSON, and also converting this data takes some time, so we await it. And then here we can say console.log data, and let's just come down here and I say fetch data. So just simply call the function, just as simple as that. And if we go back here, we can see we still have the function running. Okay, and it is fetching all this the data from the API. So you have all these two methods for fetching the data, and in that very video I said I explained these two methods using promises and async await. Okay, and the last but not least is installing packages using npm. Now if you are going to use npm is a node package manager, and is a way how we can bring packages into or libraries into your application. Okay, so the first thing to use Node.js, you must npm, you must have Node.js installed on your machine. So the first step is to go on the Node.js website, which is located at nodejs.org. So you can just say nodejs.org. So on this website, just simply download this LTS, this one that is for most users. After downloading it and you install it, then you would have installed Node. Okay, and you can check if you have Node by going to here, open your terminal, and you can run a command says npm. So you can just run npm-v, and if it brings any figure here on the command prompt, if it brings any figure, then you have Node.js installed in your system. If it doesn't bring anything, or if it says it does not recognize npm, just know you haven't installed npm. Okay, and after that, then you can install packages into using the package.json. This is a place where all the packages will be stored, and you can go ahead and do something like this. So the first thing you see here, it brought 9.5. So if you want to use npm, the first thing you do is npm init, and you can pass y here, say yes, just do that. Okay, and this command here is going to create for you a package.json, and this is a place where you can install all your packages. Okay, I'm just going to install one package. Maybe let's install npm install. So you can just say right here, it's the word install, and let's say install like SAS. Okay, SAS, just install like that, and this will start installing this package from the package repository for all the packages. And when you install a package in your code, in your project, first of all, it puts it inside here, the dependencies, and you can see SAS is here. Okay, and then it also creates this node modules, which shows node modules is where when they download SAS, they save this dependency, they save it into these node modules. Okay, I'm just going to make a video about npm in details, where we just really move inside npm, and we look at different packages and how you would use it in your project in details. So if you are watching this later, the video will be in the description for the npm and the packages. Otherwise, this is how you can use, and these are all the concepts that you need to know before you dive into React. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe so that we can actually continue making more content. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.